Welcome back, everybody. This is Mark 174 of Geeks Chasing Squirrels Across the Multiverse. My name is Greg. I am the Bat Daddy 52. And, folks, we don't have a ton to talk about this week. Had a few shows settle down last week. I personally haven't seen any movies. And just a regular continuation. I did realize tonight is basically Star Wars and Star Trek, which is cool. It's nice to have a show with both of those on there. But I'm here every Friday night doing it with my homies. Sarah, what's up?
Well, speaking of movies, I guess I'm the one that's been seeing the movies lately
Yeah, you have been. You go to the
because I'm
movies a
fresh off
lot.
of John Wick 4.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
very
Back's got to be
fresh.
hurting carrying our
Just
load.
walked in the front door, right?
yeah, pretty much. Initially, I had planned on going around like 3, but I didn't. My flight was came in. I just came back from Nashville this afternoon, so I didn't want to push it. But plus, by the time I got the tickets a couple of weeks ago, they didn't have but so many showings. So I looked at it the other night. I was like, oh, they got more. So we decided to do the 5:30 one. So, but yeah. So anyways,
We'll talk
yeah,
about that, Nathan. Sorry.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, it's awesome to have you here. Ross, what's up, buddy? New locale?
I'm sore. I've been up since like 4.
Mm.
I guess we're gonna keep riding. I could be lore. I don't know. Let's have some fun. We got simple shows, man. Like real simple crap to talk about this
Oh,
week,
and it's the good ones that we've been waiting
amazing
for
stuff at the
because
same time.
There has been some pretty amazing stuff. And it's funny, like I said, we don't have a lot to talk about this week, but I feel like all 3 shows I watched this week of what we were covering are, for me, great viewing. I don't really have a lot of complaints about anything going on, but do we have any kind of news that we want to get into before we start? Because Ross, you're usually the news guy. I have not been paying attention to anything. Not putting that on your shoulders. You just pay more attention than I do. And I didn't know if there's anything you wanted to talk
no, we're
about.
putting it on your shoulders.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
carrying us on this
Is it
one.
worthy of hitting the bumper? Should I hit the
Seriously, in
bumper?
the movies, I gotta do some other stuff.
All right.
There ain't a whole lot. I mean, we keep going through the massive amounts of cancellations and renewals of shows. So there has been all sorts of like
Well,
little
if
background.
Where's the news? Oh, I hit the wrong one. Anyway, news time.
There's not a whole lot. I mean, people like I said, there's been renewals. People who watch like shows like New and stuff like that, which I guess I haven't jumped on certain bandwagons on like shows that are on Netflix. I don't watch Netflix a whole lot. I don't know if you guys really like
Not
spend
really.
most of your time on Netflix or somewhere else,
Mhm.
but
My
To
kids
be
do.
honest, yeah, I really never watch Netflix on my TV. It's kind of old, and Netflix is the one that never works. It always takes me like 3 tries to get it going. I'll do one where I'll open Netflix up and get to the show that I want to watch, and it'll shut down. Then I'll get the show that I want to watch, get to the episode, and it's loading, and it'll shut down. And then I'll get to the one I want to watch, and the episode I'm loading, and it's actually playing, but it'll stop and then shut down. And then usually the 4th time I get it on there, it's a go. So Netflix is tough for me.
It's gotta just
It really
reboot.
is. Yeah. And I know it's not Netflix because on my phone it works great. It's my
Yeah.
TV. I've got to get a new TV, especially
Well, I know my
I
my
can't
kid's
get
been
Apple
watching
TV.
Netflix. The boy's back on Naruto, so he's on that kick again.
Yeah.
ooh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you
So
though,
I mean, yeah,
if you're
go ahead.
talking about watching Netflix, I did the speak just talking about things. If we want to talk about things we watched this week, I've been watching Netflix and I did watch that Outlast. Have y'all seen that?
That show or a movie.
It's a show. It's a series. It's basically Survivor, but it's a little more hardcore, I suppose you could say, because you can sabotage people and do all kinds of crazy stuff. It was good. Um,
Fuck you! I want
I
to
didn't.
live.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. But you can't retaliate, you can't fight back. So, like, what would you do if you're in a situation where you're in sub-zero temperatures and you have a sleeping bag in a tent, and somebody comes by and takes your sleeping bag in your tent, but you can't fight them? What do you do? Like, it really doesn't make it that fair for me.
Can you
And
push him
then
down?
right, you can't do any of
Push him
that. So
off of
it's like, well, what
something?
do you do? So I have an issue with that. That's why I don't really like get into reality TV that much. 'Cause that's basically what it is, a reality TV show. And I also don't like there's even a part in the show where somebody gets sabotaged and they're like, well, let's go check the tapes. and the contestants who were in the wilderness for 36 days with no help commandeer the cameraman's equipment and go back and watch the videotape, and I'm like, wait a second, this doesn't
Do
make
they
sense.
blow a whistle first?
Right.
Nope, I'm
Right.
out.
So I'm thinking
Instant
about it.
replay.
You're in the woods for 36 days, right? And it's 8-hour long episodes. So I'm watching a third of a 36th of the time you were there. So it's just, for me, hard to believe. Now, it wasn't a terrible show. There were some good points to it. It was fun to watch, but it's just not something that I would like, you've got to go check this out. Now, my friend who recommended that to me also recommended another show called Alone, which is a little more like up my alley of, if you're going to do this kind of thing, it's what you want to do. Have y'all heard about that?
No.
Okay. Well, it's the same kind of thing. It's people. It's a survival show, and it's competition. But apparently, they make you go through like 30 days of training because you are your own cameraman. There's nobody else there with you. Okay. You get a satellite phone and you get one phone call. And that's generally, I guess,
like
the phone call to give up.
Like,
and
my stepdad watches. Like, it's like, that's up his alley. None of this stuff is up my alley. Reality TV, I felt like I mean, it should have died a long time ago, but
like
I generally don't try to get into a lot of
Survivor.
Yeah, Survivor didn't last long for me. I don't tend to like watch a lot of reality TV. That's why I said this show was just recommended. I checked it out. It wasn't bad, but I kind of want to check out this Alone show because it sounds like if it's gonna be reality TV for me, this seems a little more reality for me because apparently they stay in the woods for like over 100 days at a time on different seasons, and they don't have any communication with anything, so they don't know when other people have tapped out. The only thing they know is somebody will come get them if they've won. That's it. Beyond that, you get 8 objects of your choice to take with you.
Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. You get 8 objects of your choice. And it made me raise the question to my friend who was telling me about this. I was like, I would wonder if you would want to go through the psychological like warfare of as soon as I get there, use my one phone call to call my family and tell them I love them. Because then you don't have in the back of your mind that you have this one phone call. So your survival instinct kicks in a little bit more because it's either.
Oh, you're saying just take it out right off the top.
Just take it off right off the top. Exactly. Yeah. So basically, you win or you die. It is almost what it boils down to, right? I doubt they'd let you die on television.
If you had a car that could only go like 25 miles an hour on gas, like would you just go ahead and see where that 25 miles an hour would get you before, like, that way you could just figure it out from there? Or would you sit there and wait and play the mind game of like, well, where else would I go? Should I start switching directions? Like now the time to do that? Should I go east instead of west?
Yeah, you're right. It's very quick draw to do something like that. But like I said, it would eliminate, for me at least, the mindset of, well, there's a back door. There's a way out. I feel like it would make me compete better. I don't know.
I'm gonna leave all jokes to the side. I watched the Adam Sandler rookie NBA thing.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, I watched that one. I still have Uncut Gems to watch. I haven't watched that one yet. I was going to start the Agent Elvis show that we were talking about.
Yes, I want to watch that too. Let's cover it.
I've had F1 races and other stuff to catch up with. And what else did I watch? I watched a movie. What's the Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn?
Oh, Dragged Through Concrete.
Yeah,
Dragged Through. Dude, that is an insane movie. I saw that too. That's insane.
I can't. That movie felt like it was trying to be overly intellectual in a manner that it had like no business being overly intellectual. It felt like watching current day Shakespeare and listening to the dialogue. Yeah, like it was tough for me.
I can see what you're saying.
I understand exactly what they want to say, but the way they're trying to convey it is like in a manner of you're just trying to seem way too smart for no reason, like because it's like a certain like precinct of like New York type detectives, and these two do something they're not supposed to do, which is get caught on camera doing some old shady crap, and then they have to decide whether or not they want to keep making money by, I guess, doing something the bad guys would do or not, and it just got crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I remember watching it, and me and Ashley kind of had it on the background. We were playing some Dice Throne, and then we had to get ready for a bowling league on a Sunday. So like we're just kind of have it on, watch, and I'm kind of half paying attention to it, but what I'm paying attention to, it seems like a pretty good movie. And then it just has these really, really kind of sick turns to it, sick twists and turns to it. I'm like, you can tell this story and be just as what's the word I'm looking for? Provocative, I guess, without no, or I guess intriguing without going to that level. And I guess maybe that's just a personal preference, But
I mean,
there's certain things that I saw in this movie, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?"
Yeah, I agree with you. Like there was a lot that was over the top, but I really think that there was like the bad guy. Like when the guy walked into the place and just started shooting people, I'm like, if you're bad, that means that you're all bad, and he was just all bad. The thing is that I didn't know anything about these bad guys in this show or in this movie, excuse me, and they didn't bring a whole lot to the table. And the fact that they were like pure evil, like they did not care. And they would just like shoot out kneecaps because. And when you saw that moment like in the bank, and you're like, wow, okay, like there's a whole bunch. Either way, it was a movie that was unexpected. I wanted to turn it off, but I couldn't. Like I had to just
like
finish it. I had to get through it. Yeah,
I actually did turn it off the first time because, like I said, we had to get out of the house to go bowling, and I just remember just thinking about it on the way to the bowling. I was like, "What the hell was that?" Because it's such a weird combination with Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree on that. That just sounds like an odd combination.
It was.
Yeah, I just wanted him to tell Mel Gibson that he was so money. You're so money. So money.
I'm trying to think. Is there anything else that I've really been watching this week? I haven't had a chance to watch a whole lot of stuff. A lot of Lakers games, Panthers news. No, I really haven't watched much else. There's a lot of Panthers news. We could talk about that, but it's a whole other show right there. We'd be here for a while.
Talk about the stuff that we did watch.
There you go. What else did we watch?
We watched 2 fantastic episodes of Star Wars, in my point of view, and 1 fantastic episode of Star Trek, in my point of view.
I agree with all of that. So Ross.
So the one Star Wars and 1 Star Trek.
I was just about to mention that, Ross.
Oh,
so
1 and 1.
Has not watched Bad Batch. So what we can do is we can save Bad Batch for last. Or if Sarah doesn't care, we'll just talk about it.
You guys can talk about it. I mean, because I'm going to watch it. No, no worries. I mean, it's fine. Now, if I hadn't seen Picard, I'm like, no, we can't talk about that.
I hear you.
Or at least
I almost didn't.
Bad Batch.
I worked until like 7:30, and I'm like, I have just enough time to watch Picard and like hop on this show. So I by the skin of my teeth.
I thought I was going to get home a little bit earlier, but it's going to be fine. No. Of the 3, if I miss one, Bad Batch would be the one.
I hear you. And this is actually a really good week of Bad Batch that we'll get into. But it's funny. My buddy asked me.
Get out of the way.
Huh? Oh yeah, we will.
So
my buddy asked me real quick. He said, he said, Rebels or Bad Batch? What should I start? So I kind of gave him the option. I was like, well, Bad Batch is great. If you've watched Clone Wars, it's even better. I said, it's not really telling a whole lot of story that you might like. It's just, it all is filler. Like you could go without the Bad Batch storyline from what I can tell and it not really affect anything else in the story. It's just a fun story to have. Whereas Rebels, Ahsoka's about to pick up right after that. There's a lot of implications that can come from that. You're going to possibly get to see a live action Thrawn. So I told him to go with Rebels. I told him just push through it because the first season and a half, it takes a little while to get its footing. But man, towards the end of season 2, and especially at season 2 finale, from there on, man, it takes off, and that show is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Rebels
Rebels
is an entire story, so like you got that going for you if you tell someone to go watch it. Bad Batch is still unfolding, and even in this season, we've kind of been trying to figure out what it's unfolding into. So I like where we're at. We only have 2 more episodes left,
which is a double
1 week
next week, right?
2 episodes. Yeah. So what you're looking at is the turn and twist of this week's nice little, bits that they threw in there. The like how do you make it interesting to have a 2-part finale, and what do you want out of a 2-part finale? And we've been dancing around all these different things and keeping Crosshair way out in the far corner of like all of the stuff that's been happening with the clones. But this episode was, to me, fantastic because I thought that it like contrasted with where the story, like of what the Mandalorian is trying to tell. When you have like the Dr. Pershing story last week, where you had that little side tangent in the Mandalorian, or more or less the main part of the episode.
Right.
These people were trying to come back from the Empire, trying to almost like deprogram of what they thought the Empire was, and they thought the Empire was good.
Mhm.
And in Bad Batch, you have almost like the exact opposite. Like the Empire is stepping into a manner that is destroying the clones and all these livelihoods, and you're seeing the evilness of it. So I love the
Right.
like the yin and the yang of it all.
Yeah. Yeah, Bad Batch is doing a great job of. I think they set up, if they're doing a 2-part finale, they set up for it really well. I just want to say I called it. I've been calling it since the beginning, and that's but I think it's pretty fair with Crosshair anyway. But I mean, this show made me not dislike Omega more. Is that right? We'll fix it when it's live. I'm not worried about it. I don't know, man. Like they didn't make her a focal point of this episode, especially where it made me not dislike her. And of the last few episodes I've seen, she's been more tolerable, more palatable. Maybe I'm getting used to her, but I don't know.
I want to say something that I thought, like right off the bat, I'm like, Greg and Tech have something in common. They're both trying to teach a teenager girl how to drive. And I'm like, watching this little girl drive a ship. Yeah.
This is true.
That was
Although I
that
want to learn
moment
that
of, like-
turn. What was that echo turn called?
the tech turn.
The tech turn. Yeah, I want to learn the tech
Yeah.
turn.
Yeah,
That's
so
pretty cool.
basically, I mean, it's a J turn. I mean, like anyone that has owned a vehicle and has ever done like a e-brake turn, it's just necessarily like the same exact thing. I think it's pretty cool that they show that. I think it's cool that they're letting her fly the ship. I mean, it shows a level of trust that you can only show through action. So I have not been a massive Omega fan, but at the same time, I've been trying to let that simmer and not become a problem for me. So watching her and watching this whole entire situation that they're all being put through at the same exact time has just been like, I'm just going to sit back and let it unfold and see what happens. I don't want to stress over hating something unnecessarily because I have no reason to hate her. She can be annoying. Like she can be completely annoying for sure.
Right.
But like what kid can't, you know? I think that there is a totally awesome scene in this episode with that whole side pod shuffle that they do when they're trying to go in and like save the clones with Echo and
yeah, opening scene, right?
I can't remember the other guy's name, but yeah, where they you get some sweet trooper on trooper action.
That sounds weird.
A bunch of
that one.
I know.
What have I missed, dude?
This was a good episode. It really was. Yeah.
Where you get the clone troopers going in, they're stunning everybody, and the stormtroopers are essentially just shoot to kill, and so you got two different aspects of what the good and the bad are, and then you got yet another enormous dickhead Sith guy, so not Sith guy, Rebel or Empire guy. So I think you have these things that are just putting up for a good 2-part episode finale. Crosshairs at the doctor again. That
doctor.
Yeah. Just turn your head and cough.
Look, well, so they set it up so that way, we're wondering, we don't know how long Bad Batch is going to go on. We don't know how long the story is, but they're setting up where this could be a finale to the story almost is what it looks like, because at least they're wrapping it back around to Omega. I think it's interesting that they spent the last, 2 episodes building up. We haven't seen Crosshair the whole time in quite a while, and they spent the last 2 episodes kind of building him up to realizing what the
2
Empire really
episodes.
is. Yeah, and realizing what they're trying to do. And of course, he's offered, I'm sure, which was a lie, amnesty, I guess you would say, for if he were to give away their position. And you see him in this episode where I guess he has that realization. And like I said, I called it from the beginning that he was going to come back at the end and save the day. We don't know this yet, but it looks like, at least for the moment, he's trying to at least alert them. What was it, Order 88?
Yeah, Plan
Is that what he
88.
called it?
Well, so
Yeah,
plans are
Plan
what they
88.
have. They had,
Yeah.
the Bad Batch has like their own like plan sheet book. I do think that, to your point of calling it, I have definitely said that the amount of story that they have told with Crosshair in the little bit of screen time that they've actually had him on has been very tremendous, and the evolution of his story through such little screen time, phenomenal. Like I'm a big fan. I totally bought him being in a position to where he was trying to figure out all of these different aspects of like what side was he playing for, what was right and was wrong, did he make a good call versus a bad call, and like he's been isolated and living with his shit for like a while now, right? So it's cool to see him make a move. Dr. Hemlock is essentially fucking the walking COVID vaccine. I mean, the dude's got his
Right.
own virus that he has tempered himself to.
Mhm.
So,
Well,
yeah,
let's face it. Isn't Crosshair basically the Raphael of this group?
yeah. So it seems.
Like,
He wants to go off and be the loner for a minute, but then he realizes that he can't be the loner. We all thrive for family, so.
yeah. I don't know, man.
There was
It's going to be
the-
an interesting setup for the last 2 episodes. So where are we at? Where are we left at with this? Is now they know that Crosshair has sent this message, and they don't know whether they can trust it or not. Correct? Is the point we're left at?
So the Bad Batch does not know whether or not they can trust it, but also at the same time, the Empire and Dr. Hemlock and his clique are trying to figure out who the message went to specifically, because he does assume that it went to the person that he needs, i.e. Omega. So the whole point is to try to, I guess, continue to hide the truth of what happened to Camino and squash whatever like rogue rebellion thing they could that would have the clones in an uprising, because there's a lot of clones, and so if they all decide not to follow orders, that could be a problem for the Empire.
It's true. Unfortunately, we know how the story ends. we know that no matter what, some of these guys are going to survive, but they're not going to win a battle. Which is what makes the Bad Batch story so interesting.
Yeah, none of it takes you out of the story. That's the funny part. Like, I think that's something that a lot of stories have tried to tell, but I think Star Wars is doing a decent job at that fact alone. And that is, you know where you're going. Enjoy the ride to get where you're going.
All right.
See what twists and turns it takes before you get there. So,
yeah. Well, I was talking on Twitter today, and they were talking about Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy being canceled, and what Star Wars is going to do with their movies going forward, and this and that. And I just recommended, I was like, man, you can go back 1,000 years. There is so much Star Wars story written right now. You don't have to do anything but cast and act it out. I'm telling you, it's right there. And fans would eat it up. Eat it up. I'm telling you. Let's get out. If we're going to go forward with the Star Wars story, or we're going to do something soon in the future, please, let's just get out of the Skywalker saga timeline era. And let's check out this entire beautiful, beautiful universe that Star Wars has built.
You're not wrong at all. And I think that one of the biggest problems is that a lot of their stories are anchored in in this era, but it's the era that people know. And when you take away that familiarity with the story, it becomes difficult for people to jump on board. The other argument to that would be trying to find actors and actresses who would want to be able to sign on for like multiple year plans. The same thing that essentially Marvel, DC, and like all these other like big IPs have been trying to do, which is to build a universe. Star Wars has had its universe. I mean, it's one of the first few with Star Trek, and like you talk about. Here's the thing: TV shows air so fast next to each other. It's easy for them to build universes. When you start trying to do it in like a movie universe, it becomes like a massive planning thing for everybody. So if they were to
Years.
do such a thing and tell a new story, that's cool, but they need all the right pieces. And I think that they've really been, you know, trying to find their footing when it comes to like what is going on with their storytelling and where they want to take it, because they're simply cashing in on what people know now. They know that going forward, and that the whole reason why they bought Lucasfilm was to tell different stories beyond everything else.
Right.
But they definitely have to get there.
I mean, I guess what I mean more or less is I don't want to see them go forward. Like, don't get me wrong, I liked Ray and Finn and Poe, and I liked all these characters, and they were cool. They for the parts they had in the movie. I wasn't a huge fan of all the movies. What I mean is, and rather than having episodes 10, 11, and 12, let's start a new series. Let's do like a Qatar series. Let's plan like 6 movies over like 8 years, 9 years.
That's ambitious.
I'm just saying, you tell the right kind of story.
And you're not wrong. Yeah.
You tell the right kind of story there. And man, I'm telling you, it's a gold mine, and you're catering to a whole new crowd and the crowd you had before with Star Wars, because there are a ton of Star Wars elitists and Star Wars huge fans that do more than just watch the movies that come out in theaters. They watch the animation, they read the books, they do all this kind of stuff. So it's an entire universe, and it's so big and rich. And I'm just so ready to see something more than the Skywalker saga. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of stuff in this era that's really fun to watch. I'm having a good time with it. I just would love to see more.
I want to see original content. I want to see something that I have no knowledge of. Zero. And I felt like when they were trying to go back and tell a story of like a millennia before the Skywalker saga, what would happen. I want original content.
Mm-hmm.
And I want it in a way that it was given to me through like the stories that we love back when the legacy, era was the only thing that was keeping Star Wars alive. I don't need all of the other things that I've already known about. Like, I don't need a continuation of Thrawn. I don't need to go back with the Kodor and everything else. Like, I'm fine with it. I already have that. I want brand new. I want original stuff, because you know what? Star Trek has given that to me, and they're doing it, dipping and diving back into nostalgia, and it's fantastic. Like, it's amazing. Like, they are doing such a good job of trying to push on to the next story. Star Wars really tried to do that, but they're not pushing on to the next thing. And as much as you want to say that they have all of these other stories that are primed to be told, I want something original. Evolve it into something else.
I totally get that, and I completely understand what you're saying, but I got to push back on the Star Trek doing that kind of thing, because while they're not just dipping into nostalgia stuff, like the characters, this is a continuation of the story. This is like if you were to take if Han Solo were alive and you were to take him and Luke and put them in a story
Picard
right now
is
with Chewie,
Discovery,
and
isn't.
it was the difference is it's well written. That's what it is. It's well written. They have a vision, they followed it through, and it's really well written.
What I mean by that is that Star Wars. Let me say it this way: Star Trek knows the playground they're playing in,
Mm-hmm.
and Star Wars hasn't quite found all of their boundaries, and they keep playing where they feel comfortable with their friends with the whole Skywalker saga. I'm cool with the Mandalorian thing, and like we can go ahead and jump into that show next and talk about it. But it's not it's a minor original story in a plot line that I think we already know. I want something that feels completely out of the blue. We got the Obi-Wan show. Like we're getting the Mandalorian, and it's tying into a bunch of things that we already know about what happens going into the sequel trilogy. But I gotta be honest with you, like I want something that I have no knowledge about, and I want to see the Star Wars logo on it, and I want to go forward with like a new story.
Is it Acolytes or Disciple? What is the next new Sith
Well,
story
there's
they're
that
coming
the
out with?
acolytes. The
The
acolytes
Acolyte.
will be the show.
That is that original content right there? That's something we know nothing about as far as it's not
It
written.
has. Well, it's got no. It's not. It's got roots in the lore. So
Okay.
I have been anticipating the hell out of that show, but I've also been trying to stay away from knowing too much about it.
Right.
There's a lot that I want to know about all of these things, but as we continually talk about, group chat and everything else, like I kind of just want to be surprised. I want to see what happens on the screen, and I love finding things out as they're happening in real time. We'll take Bad Batch, prime example. Like the guy that voices Dr. Hemlock, like he's voiced by, was it Jimmy Simpson? Do you know who Jimmy Simpson is?
I don't.
Are you a fan of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yeah. I'm watching
Have you
enough to call
watched
me a
it?
fan. Yeah.
Do you know the brothers in the show that are constantly drinking milk?
I don't know if I know it
They
well
have the
enough to know
ugly
them.
sister with the wart, and like one of the main characters actually married him. Like that, he's one of those guys, but he's been in a bunch of other movies too. And like to actually see his face, and then to imagine him voicing uh, uh, Dr. Hemlock, I'm completely taken aback. And like I love little things like that. I love finding them out in the moment. Same thing for like when Picard came out. Like I know that has nothing to do with this, but like the character who captains what's the ship that the one that we keep going back and forth on the name on, of the changelings, who captains the changeling ship?
I can't. Yeah, I know you're talking. I'm just talking about. I can't remember the name of the ship right off the top of my head.
Oh, it's the
Anyway,
bird name.
you know who I'm talking about, the actress,
the
right?
Skeet or something like that.
Do you know who that actress is?
Yes, she's the
She
daughter of. I can't think of his
she
name.
plays Honey Bunny in Pulp Fiction. In that restaurant scene at
And
the
she also
very
did
beginning, where it's like,
she's also the
"I
daughter of
love you,
Christopher
Honey Bunny."
Plummer too, isn't she?
I don't know.
Yes, Amanda
Yes.
Plummer is her name. I
Yes.
think Amanda, pretty sure.
Interesting.
But like those are
Okay.
little things. Like I love finding all that kind of stuff out after the fact. Like bring it
Right.
in. I didn't know it. I didn't know they were casted. I love finding out what the casted things are, but I want an original story to where I can start to build on those things. Because you know what? When the Phantom Menace came out, I was the kid with the CD-ROM trying to figure out all the things that were going on
Right.
with a Phantom Menace, and like trying to buffer a trailer and trying to see all the behind the scenes stuff. And we
DVD
went to go see
RWs and all that good stuff.
yeah, we saw all of the 20th special editions, and we saw all of that stuff, and we hung in for it long enough. But when we got new content, and they're coming out with like this the prequel trilogy, like we were waiting for it. So
Right. Oh, yeah.
I want something to. I want to feel like I'm waiting for something again. And it's so hard in a time where everything streams and it's out constantly, and we have new shows like every week or month or like whatever it happens. Like it's so difficult to have that feeling again. And so I guess I'm trying to chase that kid feeling of something new again. So that's what I want.
Before we get off, we're still on Star Wars. We're going to go right to Mandalorian. But while we're in Star Wars, real quick, before we start with Mandalorian, I do want to talk about one thing Nathan said in the comment chat room here, where he's talking about you're going to get sex with the High Republic show. I've read little bits and pieces of some of the High Republic books. I own like 3 or 4 of them, but I haven't actually gone through it and listened to because I have the audio version. Don't get me wrong.
It's there.
I don't mind. Sex being in a story and stuff like that. When I watch Game of Thrones, this and that. There's just something about Star Wars that I just feel like I could do without any kind of sexual stuff and be just fine because the writing's that good and I like the world that much. And I kind of want to separate my, I don't know. Like, okay, if they do that, all right. I don't know what that means. They're going to bring sex into this universe, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. I'm just commenting on something Nathan said. It's just not something that I need or necessarily want. Like Star Wars is sexy enough for me. I guess it's the way I put it. Like it's sexy enough for me.
I'm gonna give you a Greg disclaimer right here, right now, because I've already said enough 4-letter words for this episode. Keep your dick out of my Star Wars.
Right.
Is what Greg is trying to say right now.
Right. Yeah. Let's just. This is one still somewhat pure thing. It's been corrupted a little bit by some bad movie choices and this and that, but as far as just overall production of the movie, not specific choices, but I don't know. I mean, does anybody else feel me on that, or does it not really matter? Sarah?
Now I'm all because I'm like, tell me a story. I don't need anything. I don't need that shit added to it. I really don't.
Right.
I mean, you keep the sex out of it. I'm fine. I mean, because you can tell an intimate story without having to go into like voyeurism.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, that's the way I feel. And I just feel like it's just a certain, like I said, just leave Star Wars alone. Just let it unfold as it is. I mean, I'm good with that.
There was a
little bit of
drama
whatever you had in
Andor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Whatever you had, the little bit you had in Andor, that's all you need. I don't need anything further.
Yeah. So
thanks. Yeah.
So when Chocolate Espresso says Jabba had Leia as a sex slave, and look, don't get me wrong. Like I said, this is not something that bothers me. Like it's not going to ruin Star Wars for me, and it's something that if it's in a different show, it's not a big deal. I'm not a prude. It's just I just feel like I just want to separate Star Wars from this, and I'm not sure. But wasn't Star Wars originally supposed to be like more of an adult theme type thing? Wasn't there like the original picture of Star Wars with Luke with like the everything almost falling off him? Picture and Leia like kind of laying at his feet, half naked.
Yeah, they tried to give a little. Yeah,
I believe it was originally supposed to be something like that.
Well,
but it took a different.
Let's
turn.
give that credit to the artist because I feel like that kind of goes to the person who draws it and what they bring into it. Okay. Also, I do feel like in order to be considered a sex slave, I would feel like the monster who is keeping her would be capable of sex. And let's just be honest in this conversation. Like this threesome that we have right here, right now, let's talk about this. I don't feel like Jabba is something that I would consider as a sexual object or being or whatever else. I think Worm would be the only thing that I could describe him as. So, sex slave, maybe not.
Yeah, that would
provocateur of flesh, maybe.
I just saw Leia as a pet. That's all. Just kind of like a.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd really say sex slave, but I think a lot of times, like with being the late 70s, with all that having that imagery, I think that was something to kind of pull people to the movie because nobody knew about Star Wars. Because that was literally like the birth of a genre.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. So yeah, it was. Yeah. I mean, if we really want to think about it, all right, let's look at Padme and Anakin.
Do tell.
How old was Anakin? How old was Padme?
No, I get it. Like,
I've been dreaming about
throughout the universe. Ages don't matter throughout the universe. That's all there is to it. Especially when one person ages, I don't know, 10 years between movie 1 and movie 2, and the next person ages 2. It makes it a whole lot easier. But just saying.
Oh, that whole creepy thing.
We need to get off of this right here because it's like,
because I can keep going.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to Mando then. So we're staying in the Star Wars universe. Sarah, you did watch Mando, so we didn't get your thoughts on Bad Batch. So give me some thoughts on Mando, because I'll go last on this because I do have a little bit of crow that I have to eat, and then we will go. So Sarah, give me thoughts on Mando.
I'm loving the Mandalorian arc on this. I mean, I think it's really cool because, you.
Just froze up.
She is like really like turning. Like she was one that. How can I say this? Like the whole creed, she thought was just like pomp and circumstance. I mean, she didn't believe it. It's not, it's not a path. She didn't believe in the way. Let's put it that way. So now to see the fact that, you know, she's coming across or seeing signs and things that she's been kind of told in her childhood that was childish stories, and, you know, it's possibly true. You know, maybe there's some truth to this. So seeing her kind of come around to, you know, the way that's really interesting. But it's also just kind of cool just seeing the culture of the Mandalorians. And can we talk about some of these creatures? I'm like, holy shit, you got some damn dragons and shit taking your kids away. It's like, holy cow.
I have a
don't know about you,
question.
but
Okay, Sarah, to your point that you were just describing, this whole thing with Bo and, you know, now, you know, saying this is the way, like she was saying it before it was cool. Do you think that it comes from a place to where she's been like already left by everyone else that would believe in her and completely separated by everyone else, and now she's like, these people like me. I need people. Like, I need an army, and this is essentially an army. I don't have one. All I gotta do is
I don't
say
really
like
read it that
these
way.
two
Now,
words.
it could probably, I don't really read it that way because in my perception, I didn't really feel a turnabout until they were in the waters. When she saw that mythosaur.
Right. That part is fair.
But then I
I
think
cannot
then
contest
maybe
that.
because before that, even when you saw her in her, you know, her home sitting on her throne or whatnot, I mean, it was just hollow. She was like, I'm here. What the hell does that mean?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, you know, I'm here. I'm supposedly the, you know, leading, you know, the royalty of Mandalore. Whoopee shit. I mean, you know, that was kind of the feeling. So she really didn't have. She lost her way. I mean, she didn't really have a. So now maybe at this point, you know, she's thinking, okay, there's a little bit something to, you know, what she kind of considered, you know, craziness. You know, something that was kind of like I don't know, fanaticism almost. Because she was like, you don't take your helmet off, you know. Even now, you know, even then, she's like, well, how do you eat? It's like, oh, well, you kind of scoot around the corner over there, and just nobody can see you.
Asking the real questions. Questions.
While you're on that, real quick, I want to bring up that is my only real gripe with this episode is that specific line of dialogue where he's like, well, how do you eat? And he's like, oh, you just go where somebody can't see you and you take your helmet off and eat. And it's like their whole thing is don't take the helmet off. It's not,
but at some point you have to. I mean,
make it
let's
say
be
nobody
realistic.
can see your face, not don't take the helmet off, because that just makes me so mad. 'Cause now they're talking about, well, you just kind of walk away when nobody can see you and you take your helmet off and eat. Like, what? Come on,
because
really?
the first time that
I just imagine extremely acneed people up underneath there, like, you know, never washing your face.
I mean,
like your stuff is just
clean.
like, it looks like Mandalore. It looks like the surface of Mandalore. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, look, and to your point about with Bo-Katan here is, I look at it as she's come to the realization that although we're different, we're Mandalorian and we're the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like because remember she's in the Night Owls.
Mm-hmm.
They they look at the way that Mando and his clan believes is as like a religion. Like,
right.
Well,
everybody knows the story. Yeah, well, I mean, think about it. It's like a religion. Everybody knows the story. What? Oh, that was her main thing she was on.
Death Watch was the son of that lived by the cultish ways of trying to say that there were things that you had to do to follow the Mandalorian code, and there was like a free side of it to where it's like, no, there's not, but a lot of the free people died, and, you know, the bombings and everything else.
Right.
So,
right. But I think this is just her coming to the realization of, I mean, it's just like if you don't believe in religion, or if you believe in religion, we're still people type thing.
Yeah, it's like a meld. It's like a melding of like, hey, we are of Mandalore. You know, whether we have different, you know, ideologies or, you know, whatever, we're still the same people. You know, it's still our planet, still our culture. Now, albeit there's, like I said, different ideologies of these cultures, like different subsets.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just the fact of, and maybe those realize, hey, to be a leader, you have to kind of bring everybody together, because she was kind of like, okay, you guys now you're gonna accept me, but they're thinking that she's kind of like taking on their creed. So I just wonder that's gonna how that's gonna work
Yeah.
because it's just like I don't think she 100% believes it, but I think there's like little bits and pieces that she's like, okay, well maybe this wasn't just stories of my childhood. I mean, maybe there is some belief to this because a lot of stuff that she thought of was just stories, and
Well,
it's kind of
the bombing of that cave was really metaphorical in the sense that like they didn't know what was underneath that sucker until the bombs came, and no one knew still to this point until her and Mando jumped down there. So when Din Djarin
mhm,
and Bo-Katan went underwater and they actually saw a mythosaur, like no one knew that it existed, and so
Mhm.
the story goes that the bombing of Mandalore caused like the collapse of the caverns or taverns, whatever the shit underneath, to actually open up, and now they can go deeper into the waters, the living waters, and so now they find these things. So that is, it's their storytelling caveat to how they're getting to where they're going. Um, it's not that I don't buy it, but I mean, look, this episode opened up with like Mandos go to the beach, like crowded beach day. Am I right? Everyone's outside and they're
Oh,
all having a gun show on the beach, and it's just like
yeah.
it's literally um, it it it's a Mandalorian show off, is what it is. You got all these people in armor, and they're all out there, and they're all firing things and willy nilly fucking patterns and doing different things, and they're having
Ringing.
fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did appreciate the whole fact of like Din Djarin pushing Grogu into the fight because like you needed to see that. You needed to see that he was going to find a way to tie his force abilities to what he was doing and why he came back. Because look, this is all a very very loosely threaded story.
Yes.
Like it's cool because it's nostalgia. It's not cool because of the storytelling. It's cool because of the nostalgia. And all that I can say is that when you bring in the four-armed dragon thing, and when you bring in all of these reasons for them to fight together, and Grogu to be there, I mean, Grogu's got a new piece, like
Yeah.
Flavor Flav. Like, what are we doing with all of this stuff right now? Like, I don't get it, but I love it at the same time, and that's why I want original content that's farther away from all of the stuff that's happening right now. Because like, what's happening right now, I'm like, you guys are just having fun. Good on you. I would probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
But I can't say that when you're gonna have this type of budget that I would do this story.
Right. Well, I look at it like this, and I agree with Nathan here. I didn't like the Baby Yoda stuff. I didn't like the Grogu
Mhm.
stuff. Like, I didn't mind him
Yeah,
so far in the story, but he's starting to get kind of old for me. You can tell this entire story and do it well, completely without Grogu, not even being in there. Or you wrap that story up
so
end of
far.
season 2. Like honestly, like, yeah, so far, you're right. So I just it just doesn't work for me. Like the fight scene where he's got the darts and he's doing the battle with the kid, that didn't work for me. The only thing it's trying to show you off is, I guess, just like the Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan jump over
I could jump.
their
Yeah,
opponent, yeah, and jump back.
I did like the
But
playing with rocks at the beginning thing. Like that was
yeah,
like these little lobster things were like, don't fuck with me, kid. Like, kid, please go away. And the kid went away, and
yeah.
like they all like ran off into the water. uh,
I
I
just can't
I
get
I think
down
that's
with
corny
Grogu
as
right
shit,
now.
but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think that actual part of it takes me out of the show, of like the seriousness of what I'm watching in the show. It's like, okay, with stuff going on with Grogu, it's like I want to see this character progress, but let's see this character progress. Then, like, he's still the
Yeah.
same exact character he's been since the beginning. Remember season 1, he did the force push and took care of that what was the mud, whatever,
Mudhorn.
the Mudhorn, yeah. So I mean, what has he done to progress throughout this? And this is supposed to be the span of a little bit of time, right? Between season 1 and season 3?
I mean, it's gone back and forth in the media as far as what Filoni, or not Filoni, Favreau has said, but 2 years is the believed time lapse between like the Boba Fett story, or when we saw him in the Book of Boba Fett versus now. So,
Mhm.
I mean,
I'm
you have
on
you have all sorts of things. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I'll say I'm on the team here with Wildly Boots and White Chocolate Espresso that he should stay with Luke.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
yeah.
you know, like,
I mean, it's a fun story seeing how he would live by not doing that, but
I think he's the target to pull in a younger audience, right? Or to pull in an audience that may not like Star Wars, but oh look, Baby Yoda's cute.
Well,
well,
think about it too. Look
and
at his age. I mean, how long is it? I mean, he's how much is he going to progress in like let's say 2 or 3 years?
Right.
yeah,
I mean, because he's supposed to have like if he's obviously the same species as Yoda. Yoda lived to be freaking 900 years old. I mean, and dude's like what 50ish.
yep.
There's a lot of time span between there.
Mm-hmm.
What I
Yeah.
think is that they are, I mean, they're using it as a vessel to just to center a story around. The idea is that they're trying to tell other stories, but they don't have like a massive mapped out story. They have no finale planned for what the Mandalorian would conclude on, and so I think that Grogu is just part of that. Like, I don't want to say flavor of the week, but it's a method for them to tell types of stories without making it like extremely central to the story, to the plot line. What I do question is like, what are the flashbacks about? Because in this one, we got a real big one, and it was a continuation of the flashback from the Book of Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
So I am interested to see what this is about. When we, someone said earlier, I think it was Nathan, about the acting of Ahmed Best not being great. It's not great. Like it really isn't. But he's been back and forth on whether or not he even wanted to come and do it. The character that he plays is his character from the game show, which we talked about briefly on this show. He did a Legends of the Temple esque show for Star Wars on Disney Plus, and his actual like Jedi name during that was Kelleran Beck, and so he reprised that character in this episode. It was cool seeing him at like when the elevator doors opened. It was cool seeing him there. Like I was completely like, wow, like they did that. Like this is happening, and so the shock and awe of the stuff that I get from Mandalorian is crazy because it is shock that they, not that they would think to do that, but they would like have the balls to like do that. And so, and not in like the like great storytelling type of way, but like, wow, you like didn't care what anyone would think and you just went ahead and went for it. And so they did that. You get that moment with Ahmed Best. You get the you get to see him dual wielding sabers. You get to see him near the senatorship. Like let's talk about these things. Like they were just throwing in everything in this clip.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets in a little side pod speeder, like Grogu sitting bitch in a little side pod, and they're going through the same things that we've seen in other movies and parts of Star Wars.
Yeah. And no, I agree with you. That whole flashback scene was great. I loved that. It is really cool to see a different perspective of what's going on and to see like a different storyline. Because you got to imagine that at that moment, that's Order 66. That at that moment, like everything's going crazy for everybody on all different levels, all over the universe. This gives Grogu a little more importance to the actual overall storyline. I'm just wondering what. Like we're into 3.5 seasons now, and we still don't really know anything about Grogu. Like, what is his importance? What's the deal with him? Like I said, I feel like this show might be better without him, but I can understand the appeal for him. And maybe they're going to tell me a story that I really love. I'm not saying I don't like the character. I'm ready to see a reason for Grogu. Like I never saw Yoda fight until the prequel trilogy came out, but I loved Yoda.
That was a moment.
Okay. That was a moment. You're right. That was a crazy moment. But before that, I loved Yoda. Like, I need to love Grogu. Like, beyond the cute little puppy stuff. Now he's peed on my carpet enough times. I want to see him do a trick. I guess that's the best way I can put it.
He jumps. Do you like jumping? He can jump.
He did. He did the Luke and the Obi-Wan jump. You're right. That's what he did.
I think that they're kind of saving him to be like the final season main plot line. You know, like they'll tie it all in then. But like for the time being, they're trying to figure out how to distance the amount of story that they want to tell with him over, you know, drip feeding fans so that they're not completely spent on the story right off the bat. I mean that's all the Grogu in the story.
Yeah.
The other bits
mean,
and pieces of it are really like, you know, you get a snatch and grab story. You get, like I said, the dragon had, you know, Mandalorian helmets up in the nest. You know, the dragon just trying, or dragon bird thing is just trying to take care of its kids. I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
We have extensive knowledge of people with like grappling technology. Mandalorians have these things that can shoot out like a batarang, but can't retract them, can't pull them up. They have to climb from that point up.
I wondered the same thing, to be truly honest with you, and I had to just chalk that one up to this isn't real. You know, because I was thinking the same thing about it. And I was like, they can have a pass for that because this isn't real. It's kind of like how no matter what binoculars they're looking through, it's always broken in a terrible sight, like flipping in and out and cracked screen, whatever.
Well, they're clearly
no matter
not
what you're looking through Star
IP65
Wars
rated, so
yeah. So that's kind of why I chalked it up to. But I thought about that too, Ross. I was like, so you can shoot this out, but then like once you shoot it out, it's done. Like you can just like if you're shooting,
I would have
enemy,
even dealt with like
well just cut it. Yeah, there's no like Mortal Kombat, get over here, nothing. Like shoot it out, cut it off, keep fighting. But I guess it would still help on scaling a mountain.
And didn't you notice the armor? She said something that she'd make sure they had enough grapples. Did you notice? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? It's like make sure you have enough rope.
Yeah, God. It was just St. Patrick's Day, so I just relived all those moments of Boondock Sakes. What do you need rope for? What? Who needs rope? I don't know if you've ever watched those movies. I love those scenes in those movies.
No. I guess the only other thing I can talk about is the end when she's having her armor fixed with the armorer. And she asked, she's like, you know, can I wear the mythosaur and the night owl? And lady's like, yeah. I mean, you can basically do whatever you want. Just don't take your damn helmet off. It reminds me of like, y'all ever seen that Adam Sandler Netflix movie, the Western movie? I can't remember what it's called.
The Six.
Six, yeah.
Yes.
It reminds me of the Left Eye Gang. You know, that's what like they're like you gotta take out your left eye and you're in the gang. Like all you gotta do to be in here is bathe in these waters and keep your helmet on, and you're a Mandalorian. And it's like, well, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. Because Armor's like, did you bathe? She's like, yes, I did. I'm like, no, you didn't. What, jumping in, is that constitute bathing?
No, to be fair, she went in just as much as Din Djarin did.
Right, but his intention was a lot different than her intention.
Yeah, but they still got sucked all over.
Are you calling it an accidental baptism? Is that what you're calling it? Like,
absolutely.
Whoa.
Absolutely.
You can't come to this conversation with that kind of talk.
The ridiculous.
But it's true. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
I want to know who had sex with Paz Vizsla because I did not see that guy having a kid.
Paz Vizsla. Which one's Paz Vizsla?
For real. The one with the Gatling gun. The guy whose son was kidnapped.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Which, let's talk about that scene real quick because we're kind of running out of things on this show to talk about. That scene was awesome. Like, the CGI on that scene was awesome. I love the fighting with this little dragon-looking thing in the sky. I love the wrap with the wing. I love when it crashes down in the water and it gets eaten up by whatever that water monster is. I watched that and I was like, that was really well done.
Some Jurassic Park shit right there.
Yeah. That's some Star Wars shit. Yeah. But
and then they're going to bring the babies back. What in the hell are they going to do with those?
I don't know. We're going to see. They said they have 3 more to train.
Oh, my God.
That's what they said. So are there going to be little Mandalorians, little Beskar helmets, and can they not take their helmets off?
Well, my question is, even if Grogu does get a helmet, what is he going to have it cut out for his ears?
I don't know.
You want to just like, because
I sent you guys that picture, right?
No, you may have,
sent you the
but
picture
I missed stuff.
Yeah. All right, I'll go back and try to find it, but that's a
Is
good
it Grogu
picture
with the helmet.
Oh yeah, full Mandalorian.
I just don't see how you can have a good Grogu helmet, to be truly honest with you. And it's gonna be interesting to see how Star Wars does this up. They've done pretty good so far.
He's gonna have to go somewhere else, right? Like let's be for real right now.
You don't think he's gonna be a Mandalorian?
I mean, there's just you can't be like.
I just
that
don't see how that's gonna work,
Force, right?
I agree. I don't see how it's going to work either. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he can't be a badass. I've seen Yoda. Yoda was a badass. He has a different kind of awesome capabilities, but this guy's picked the wrong trainer for his capabilities. Like, he's not a Mandalorian type fighter. He's like a Luke Skywalker type fighter. So I agree with Kevin Nathan. Should have gone with Luke.
Well, I wouldn't put it past Pedro Pascal to lie to him. So
it's true.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
He likes orphans.
I mean, he's never done that before.
No, not at all.
It's another adopted child. I mean, no. Why would you say that, Ross?
The behind the scenes for that show. So
was it good?
It was quick. It was easy. It was a good 30-minute watch. Yeah.
Let's see. He's going with Thrawn. Baby Yoda will navigate wild space. I don't know. We'll see.
Dude,
all right. Well,
if Grogu rides a freaking space whale, I may lose my shit. I may never ever come down from a Star Wars hard on. I'm sorry.
they'd have a lot of explaining to do. A lot of explaining to do. But we've seen the Mary Poppins moment with Leia, and weird things have happened. So. I don't know. They can figure it out. All right. Well, y'all ready to hop off Star Wars, hop on Star Trek, get on the last show we got here?
Mm-hmm.
Might as well. Right, that's probably the best we're going to get right there.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm not going to lie. I love this episode of Star Trek, but I feel like if I was a bigger Star Trek fan, I would have loved it even more. Luckily, I have two big Star Trek fans here. So, Sarah, you're about to burst, it looks like. Let's talk about this, because you told me I needed to drink a beer after watching this episode. I didn't know what that was going to be about.
I'm going to drink after this, because I'm telling you, it's just oh my God, it was.
I have questions, so go.
When they went to the museum and had all the ships.
I'm sorry, I'm reading the comments. Yeah.
Yeah, you boys are wild right now.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their things, I guess, Nathan.
Oh my gosh. Well, anyways, so when you saw Voyager, anybody that knows me knows Voyager is my favorite, and you heard the theme, and you're just like, it's like. I mean,
was that the reference to the ship you're talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Voyager itself. Yeah, so that was Voyager. So it's like, because this is kind of like a maritime museum almost,
right?
Because it had that was all these ships.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. So when 7 was sitting there,
all the important ones. Calm yourself. That was all the important ones,
right?
So when 7 was just like because this entire episode. It was really weird, because I mean you've got the next generation of the OGs, because kind of find out you already knew LaForge had his one daughter that was the pilot, and then kind of find out he's got another daughter, and then of course you got Picard's son, which really the only child next generation child that we really ever knew was Wesley Crusher, and we're just like. Let's see another iteration. Nothing against Wesley, but it was just interesting the way it's just, and it seems like there's always been kind of this theme of family throughout this season.
Right.
It's like you don't have to be blood kin, but you're still family, and so to see, and like I said, to see Voyager, 7, have her, reminisce, just like, that was my family. That's how I found myself. That was, this, that, and other. I was just like, oh my God, those are the good days. So yeah, I got a little on that one. But that was way before I got, because we'll talk about the end a little bit later. We'll just kind of talk about the other stuff beforehand, because that was a bit much too.
Right.
I was not really, I was, but I wasn't expecting that. But I think one of the other things that really stood out to me was like Geordi and his daughters. But you would think it's just the one daughter, but it's kind of like both daughters. They're like,
he's got a favorite. Yeah.
Well, because he butted heads with the one. It's kind of like, with, like, if you have more than one kid, you always have that one kid that's much like you, and you're just like, don't be like me. Don't. He's like, but you're proud.
Right.
You're proud because But then again, you're like, oh, you don't want to butt, because that's the one you butt heads with.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really interesting because like a lot of things, she was saying, she's like, dude, she's like, I'm just only doing what you would have done then. And then he's like, well, I'm a parent. That's before I had you. And I'm like, dude, it's still the same difference. It's the same difference.
Yeah.
It's your crew. That was your crew. That's you. That was your ride or die. This is her crew. That's her ride or die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was a big thing that I saw in this episode. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of any of this stuff before, but I'm knowledgeable about some of the stuff that happened. And while I'm looking at that, I'm like, well, dude, you really don't have any room to talk. And I was hoping this wasn't something that was going to be drug on for a long time. And they did throughout maybe half the episode. But he eventually comes to and realizes that he's kind of being a moron, and she's doing exactly what you would do in that situation. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, okay, let me ask you, was there any kind of a romantic feeling you picked up from his daughter and Picard's son?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
There's some
kind of hoping they don't do that, but I didn't know if that was what they were laying the groundwork for.
I don't know. I think it's just a little bit of flirtatiousness, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the why wouldn't you push the envelope? And then people who push the envelope tend to, do that shit together. So why not push for change or push for whatever you want? And I think that in this episode, it was, why wouldn't you push for survival rather than being told not to? I think that's kind of where they were going, because this episode started with the aromatic. What do they call the thing that Picard had that he passed on to his son to see visions?
I can't remember what it was. Some kind of
disease. Some kind of syndrome that he had.
Yeah. Aromatic.
You're in the chat, man. What did he pass on? He'll let us know.
And so it gave them for sure. It gave them the reason to jump to a reason for Jack to deep dive into something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Young Avengers, to try to come up with something else that they were shooting for. And I think that when you have Jack in his low versus Jack building back up, the stepping stones were sitting in the captain's chair and being okay with it, with 7 of 9, and then turning around and being okay with seeing and knowing all the ships, and then hey, I got a plan, and we can figure it out from here.
Mm-hmm.
That was an arc that was easy to tell and easy to follow, and it was nice to see Sydney and I can't remember Geordi's daughter's name.
Yeah.
Sydney is the helmsman, but I can't remember the one that he beamed aboard the ship with. And so just see them, work with him above to get to that point was really good. But we got so much more. We got Tribbles. We got Moriarty. We got, there's so many things in this episode. There are things in this episode.
Please tell me you noticed, because I had to pause and because when oh my God, who was it? One of them walked by one of the screens. You saw kind of like a skeleton there. Did you notice what it said?
Yes.
And I'm like,
yes.
What did it say? I didn't notice.
James T. Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So real quick then.
I know that name. I know that reference.
Yeah, I know that guy. Panther Pickle was in the C3 Panthers podcast before I came on here. He was on there, and before we got on the show, he was talking about this. So let me ask you then, what's up with this body thing? Because Pickle explained it to me, I think, or at least his theory, and I don't understand. So now that is the body of Kirk.
Okay, hold on.
Why does it
What-
look like Picard?
Wasn't there a season of Picard you didn't watch?
There was the first season.
Was it the second one?
The first season. I watched
You
the
didn't
second
watch
and
the
third.
first one.
You watched the first one, you didn't see the second one. If you saw the second one, you would know what he meant.
Well, I saw the second one. I didn't see the first one.
No, maybe it was the first one. Yeah, it was the first
so
one.
I missed the first one, didn't see it, and I watched the second and third.
Basically, what happens? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead in a nutshell for you.
Spoil it for me. Yeah.
Okay, so throughout the first season, that's when you find out that Picard has this syndrome that's basically it's terminal. So it's
Right.
kind of like what Jack has. You know,
Mhm.
the same thing. What happened at the end of that season? And I hope everybody's seen this because I'm about to spoil it. They basically take Jean-Luc's consciousness and put him in a synth body. That is not his human body he's in right now. It's almost like he's Data. So they're his
okay.
remains from his human body.
Were preserved.
That's what they have now. So in essence, that's what they in Daystrom Station. They have James T. Kirk, his remains.
Yeah, I want
As
to talk
well.
about that when we get to the end too. But yeah,
But that's
I wanna come
that's
back to
where they're
that,
kind
sorry.
of because they've made inference. I want to say there was like in the earlier episodes of this season, I think they made somebody made comments to the fact, you know, his synth body and all this kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
he's
because of his syndrome, because he no longer lived with it, but Jack had it, and so
Yeah.
that was that whole conversation back and forth. It's like, you know, you had it, but you passed it on to your genes to your children or child. But now that you are you in like your current life, you no longer have it because it's not a condition that you can live with as a synthetic being. But I still get to live with it, and here I am talking to you, my synthetic father, versus, you know, like the person who actually gave it to him. And so you get the live action moments of Jack going through it versus what we've seen in the past of Jean-Luc going through it. And so it's an interesting twist on a plot line that didn't feel like it had any weight, and now it does. So I think that is breadcrumbs to like the story. I think that they are well placed breadcrumbs to the story that we're going to get with, you know, the ending of the season. You know, they keep giving us every little bit of feeling that we want with all the characters that we want. Clearly, they bring back like everyone. Like who are we missing now?
Right.
You know, like I feel like we've hit everyone on TNG, and I mean, given the last scene of this episode, like it means that we're going to push on to have everyone in the main story, everyone in the main plot. And so with Diana Troy in there, I don't know where we're going to go next. Like I have plenty of feelings, but like this episode gave me plenty of things to sit in for a whole entire week. When you take a character like Data, Soong, B4, Lore, all the culmination of all these things, and you're going to put him in like what the actor's body looks like right now. I mean, it was viable. Like I didn't have a problem jumping on board with that idea of what they were trying to do. I did feel like it was a stretch, but when I actually saw him on screen and the mind thought that he was going through and the way that they led you to they took Jean-Luc Picard. That's what they took. They took Jean-Luc, and you're like, is he trying to say something? Like, what is he? Oh, he's trying to say they took Jean-Luc.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it now. Like that makes sense.
Yeah.
I appreciated what they did every step of the way in this episode, and that's what was important because everything from, like I said, they brought the tribbles back to screen. I mean, God, mortifying. Yeah, like I mean, imagine getting adhered to one of those things.
Yeah.
The way that they introduced Data as a security on Daystrom Station,
Hmm.
I'm really interested as to know why, because it makes no sense to me why.
Hmm.
I understand it may seem like a good call on their behalf. The whole like Moriarty aspect of like focusing on Riker to actually bring that in to be a main plot,
Mm-hmm.
cool, but why?
Well, my thing is,
Maybe
how
I
many
don't
more
need the
times are
yeah.
they
answer.
gonna bring the data back? I mean, okay,
Yeah, I know.
you know,
That's why I said why Daystrom Station.
I don't know, but it doesn't surprise me because it seems like 100% of a Soong project. It's always something because Soong was always trying to figure out how to he was saying it's like I thought I'd live forever and that aspect. So I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but I guess I'm just like, can we just lay Data to rest? I mean, I've seen
Yeah.
him like go twice, and it's been like, it's. I'm like, my emotions can't take so much
Right.
more.
Well, so let me ask y'all then, Ross. You talked about the ending of this episode. I'm not a Star Trek fan, or not a huge fan, and I don't have a lot of knowledge about previous stuff. Who is the female at the end of the episode? I'm assuming is that Riker's lover, wife,
Yeah, that's Deanna Troy.
Wonder
Troy.
Girl.
She is a main character from the Next
Counselor
Generation.
Troy. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so that's his
Wife.
boo. Gotcha.
His
All right, cool.
anxiety.
Mother of his children.
Is she dead
Child.
before? Like, why is he so surprised to see her? Just I guess he hadn't seen her in a while. They're
Because
separated.
Vedic, because with her now, can we talk about the opening scene with Vedic? I'm like, oh my god, this lady's
Losing her shit. Yeah.
I know, it's just like, whoa,
Yeah.
we're kind of all over the place right here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, just making a statement saying that he's going to track down. I guess now she's zeroing in on Picard and anybody, anyone or anything that is like any kind of safe space. We're gonna shoot on it. But I'm wondering. I mean, I'm assuming that is Deanna. I'm assuming that's really her.
Oh, for real.
Because
yeah.
I mean, I mean, Riker will be able to tell because they share some kind of link. So he'd be able to know if that was really her or not. But I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a damn changeling. I don't know. It's crazy.
I mean,
I don't
they're
know how
pulling
well they're
nostalgia
able to
points.
match that. Yeah. I'm not sure what they can do to make you think otherwise. I am a fan of the idea that is actually Deanna Troy.
I mean, I feel like it is,
We've-
but I mean, it's with the changelings, especially now, they're saying that they've kind of leveled up or evolved to where they're a little more.
Yeah.
But I mean,
why
there is
wouldn't
that psychic link between Deanna and Will that that you can't fake that. You can't fake that one.
I think that there is something that you can like. What I worry about is that they do pull an okie doke because I feel like there has to be feelings there. I feel like you have to get the whole cast there.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the point that they're striving for, because it clearly seems like it is, to bring everyone back for the grand finale.
Oh yeah.
Then how do you do it while not making it seem like one of them is an absolute fake? But you're right. Like we're led to believe like it's the ultimate, X-Men morph. Anything that has had a being that can shapeshift into anything. How do you do it in a way that makes you think that it's not that being? Because it sucks all of your thought out at that point. You automatically think, well, it's a fake, or it's a decoy, it's an illusion, it's something that but is not real. If it's Deanna and she knows, like I feel like we were given the crumbs to that story through him trying to send her an like a goodbye
Mm-hmm.
Vlog. I don't know, whatever he was trying to do, give her recordings and shit. To say goodbye to her, then like what are we getting right now? Did they find her and bring her on board? And if so, like, how many kids does Riker actually have?
Just
Just
He's
the
got
the
the
one?
one. He's got the one. I think it's the little girl because I think
I
the little boy
thought it was
passed.
2. Yeah.
He did
So,
have
but
2.
it
The
was
little boy
2.
passed.
Yeah, 2.
hmm
Okay, that's what I was thinking. And so, if that's the case, then like truly they're at a point where, like maybe you would go and dig more than just like the mother of your child, because if you're gonna have like a ransom note, you might as well make the ransom complete.
Right.
You gotta bring the whole party in and like make it an all or nothing scenario. So it's sad. Like I'm a bad person, an evil person for thinking that, but movies have made me think that. So
When you think that there's a difference between like movie sense and real life, I suppose. So you're not a bad person.
Well, I'm just curious how this
Kinda, maybe.
unfolds because, like I said, they made especially bringing the changelings in. Made references to the Dominion War because that was some craziness.
Mm-hmm.
And then hearing Picard talking about the link, the Great Link, and then I do remember hearing, when they kind of went a little bit further, talking about the I guess whatever they engineered, to combat the changelings because that kind of tore everything up, and then they gave them because seeing the link was like really weird because it was like this pool, and especially seeing Odo walk into it and that's just weird because it's like everybody like blobbed together. It was kind of weird.
That's when CG was in its early beginnings.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, I mean I'm not saying it was the greatest. I mean it gave you the idea, but I don't. Yeah. So it's really interesting because I'm like, is this like remnants of the Dominion War? Is that why is it really the changelings? Kind of coming back, resurgence, that kind of thing. So that's why I'm really interested to see how this comes to play. And then, especially like with Jack Crusher, why is he such a central, piece to the puzzle? Oh,
Right.
It's just, and I mean, we got 4 episodes left.
They got a lot to answer in 4 episodes. But I can tell you that what I've seen so far has been really great, and I think that I'm just based on that going with the faith that they're going to finish strong.
I think my biggest questions are with Sarah, like why. Clearly, the story needs to answer why, because if not, then it's a shitty story. I love this that they bring into it with, like this episode with seeing the ships, with seeing with grounding the plot line in the universe. But you have something that is, they teach you about intership communication, which I felt like was a real thing, regardless of whether they needed to teach me.
Right.
They brought back all the nostalgia with Moriarty, Tribbles, with Worf, with Raffi, with I gotta talk about costumes for 1 second. What is up with these like biker leather jacket Starfleet uniforms? Like I'm in the camp
like it. New
that's
age.
a jacket I would wear. Like
Yeah.
that's something that you should bring to like you should keep in your ensemble like in the closet somewhere, right? That's a wardrobe item. Because I love the way that they are twisting and turning. We see so many different independent properties that bring uniforms front and center, and I love the hexagonal shaping. I love the texturing. I love the colorization. And for this version of Star Trek, what they bring with like the darker colors, the darker reds, the darker golds, the darker blues, they're not so contrasting, and I feel like they are real. Like I love all of that stuff. Like love it. Like, and then they bring like when Raffi showed up with that fucking leather jacket, I'm like, girl, I don't know what you're doing, but your dresser has you on fleek. Like you are ready to go. Like you are ready to show up. I was extremely happy that they referenced the whole well thing with the HMS Bounty in this episode. I love that they brought back that movie of the original Star Trek series. And then 1985, go back to San Francisco
Yes, when they found the
find the wells. Yes, like it was. I love that they did that because they just essentially said like, "We're here. We came to party. Like this is our thing, and we're putting it down right now."
Right.
So
it's like real world. I mean, it's like okay, it's
Yeah.
like all these films, everything is connected. It's a real world. I mean, these events occurred.
They do a great job with this. Like I said, I'm not even a huge Star Trek fan, and they've got me hooked. Sorry, Ross, go ahead.
No, you gotta get into it. The sad thing is that you're seeing all of this now without the background, and it's I can only imagine what your point of view is jumping into
tell you
this
what-
because when you go ahead, tell me.
So I'll tell you what it is. I'm gonna take Star Trek in the same way that I absorbed Star Wars the first time. How about that?
You can go all the way back through the books, all the way not
No,
books,
no,
but
no, no,
all
no.
the way back through the story.
What I mean is, I'm gonna hear a story that I'm seeing and hearing right now, and then I'm gonna go back and see stuff that doesn't have to be created because it already has been, and look at everything that happened before that to bring it to me to that point. And then by the time I get to that, there'll be stuff that happens after this. It's gonna be the same way you took Star Wars. Think about it. You got 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
You know, and then you went back and you learned how you got to that point. So I'm the same kind of way.
I imagine it's like what any kid would learn going into the things that we all know and take for granted. Like how would you watch something current and then go back and indulge yourself in all of the things that were there beforehand? So
well, can I say that's probably the problem that like a show like Willow had, where I think that somebody who didn't ever know Willow, a kid that didn't know Willow, this was supposed to make them want to go back and watch it, but it probably didn't.
Yep.
Like that's the problem you have trying to do something like this. You've got to make them want to go back and watch the prior content. I think Star Wars does that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Willow wasn't great. Like I can give you that. Like I completely jump on board with that. Star Trek gives you things that there are so many different aspects to Star Wars and Star Trek. Star Trek gives you like in this one episode we had just the one moment between Shaw and LaForge to where it's like I just want to shake your hand, like you're an inspiration to me. And
you know who Shaw reminded me of in that
situation.
moment? He reminded me of Reginald Barclay in that moment. The way he was fanboying over Geordi, because Reggie was always like, "Oh God, oh it's so great to you." Like, he really reminded me of him, just in that moment.
Yeah.
Just how he was like, "Oh, that's just so great."
And, but it was the ability for them to not just surpass it. Like, gave a comment back to where it's like you're like, your ship is lucky to be limping along in the mass way that it is. I would love to talk to you about how it is doing that, and like the two of them are going back and forth, right?
It's kind of like a backhanded compliment.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, it's a backhanded compliment.
Like I don't know how you got this fucker running, but God.
Well, they have to admit,
like you got it going.
Titan's been through some shit these last episodes.
Well, let's face it, we had a rough last few days. So.
But the thing about Shaw, more he's fantastic too. He's like, all right, what kind of shit they gonna throw at us? I'm like,
yeah, I love how Shaw
is my mantra every work day.
Yeah, it's like it's my ship, but like, tell me what kind of pleasant hell I'm in for today.
Right?
Like, where are we at right now? All right. I will reiterate that I love the sounds of the ships. I love the way that they make this ship sound in space. I love it. Just that whoa, that massive caw that they do that I can't duplicate. But I love that sound because like when you see the ships like whatever. I love how it works, right? And then we get to the finale, like the true episode finale, which before Deanna Troi, but to me, the true episode finale. Why did they take Jean-Luc Picard's remains? Number one. Number two, why do Jean-Luc remains remain? Why are they there?
Why do they keep it? Yeah. No, I agree.
And if so, Why are Kirk remains there? Why are their bodily remains there? Because that is something they live in an age where DNA and all other kind of bullshit can actually be put on a screen and on a computer somewhere and not actually necessarily kept. Why?
Makes the story more fun.
We've already had one Jean-Luc Picard clone. We've already had one clone.
Yeah.
Are we gonna make another one? I mean, we've already had Shinzo. So
I mean, we have a few episodes left to answer that question, I guess, Ross. And that's the question they bring up in this episode is, I guess, kind of why.
yeah, why are you gonna take Jean-Luc? I mean,
Yeah.
you got Kirk there too.
Which I love. Everybody in this show has their own little way of saying, like, Jean-Luc. 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 Like, everybody's a different way of
That's
saying
why my
it.
favorite is John Luck Pickard. It's my favorite. I
John Luck
can't tell
Pickard?
you why. Maybe it was the moment when I was a
Jean-Luc
kid
Pickard.
and I saw Q pop on the screen. He's like, I have a delivery for John Luck Pickard.
John Luck
It's my
Pickard.
favorite. It is my favorite. It is the worst.
That
It is
is
by
good.
far the worst rendition of it.
Look, I got nothing else for Picard. They're doing a fantastic job with this. We got a lot of characters back. It's going to be interesting to see where they go with this in the next few episodes because Picard's coming to an end. Like we're about to see the end of Jean-Luc Picard. Sorry. Sarah wags the finger at me. Like, am I saying?
I realize
am I
it. I'm just
speaking
not
in
ready to.
blasphemy? Okay,
not-
I got you.
I
didn't know if I was wrong. I was like, wait a second, am I wrong?
Okay.
Gotcha. No, I get it. I mean, it's a death of. We don't know how he's going to end. I think he's going to die. I don't know how he's going to end, but we'll see what happens. It would be better if he died, but not that I want to see anybody die, but it's more of a sacrifice. Gives the character a better story whenever that happens. So I would love to see how they're going to play this out. Sacrifice yourself for your kid. Just saying, Well, do y'all have anything else? Right. You like it when I talk in the microphone like this. It's a totally different show then.
Oh, okay. Enough.
Yeah.
Enough. I know it's getting late, but come on now.
Well, look, I don't have anything else about this. Do y'all have anything else you want to
Squirrels
bring up
after
about this
dark.
episode?
After dark. That's right.
That's right.
No.
Chasing squirrels.
All I can say is I want one of those leather jackets. Like I'm on board. I would wear one. Like
Yeah.
fuck it.
They look good.
Red, I don't care.
Sarah, any last words?
Oh my goodness. I think the one thing is I kind of knew a little because I remember seeing like little bits and pieces about, possibly lore, popping up, but I wasn't expecting like the whole family.
Yeah.
Because it
Plethora,
was,
yeah.
yeah, because, you're sitting there talking about, if you got Law in there, you got Data in there, you got B4 in there, you got Lore in there, you even got Sung in there. I'm like, Lord of mercy, have all these persons. So now he has like a
You get Windows Ultimate. You get Windows 95, Windows 98, Windows
I know,
2000.
right? I'm just like, that's wild. But I will say this much: it's like when Geordi, rebooted him, and he's like, okay, oh, that's Data. Then it's like, there's Lore, asshole. That guy. You could just tell, like there's that smirk. You're like, ugh. So I'm just kind of interested to see how that's gonna. But I mean, I guess if anybody could figure it out, Geordi can, because I mean, how many years did he have to study Data?
And can I ask, didn't Geordi have like some kind of thing on his eyes in the original show, like sunglasses?
He had
really
the visor,
wicked
but
sunglasses?
times have changed.
I thought that was awesome when I was younger.
technology.
I was like, looks badass, but
No, I'm
Because
pretty sure
was-
you went to go see the first movie with me where he didn't have it, where he transitioned
First
off of
Contact,
it.
wasn't
I'm
it?
pretty sure you were with me.
really,
Wasn't it First
Was
Contact?
it First Contact?
Mm.
I
'Cause that
felt
was
like it was Nemesis.
Was it Generations?
Nemesis?
I
No, Generations.
Because,
I think it was
Then
Generations.
had First Contact, and then
Generations with the one with the ribbon, right?
yes,
The ribbon that was floating.
that's when you saw.
It might have been
and you
Generations.
saw Kirk too.
okay.
That's when
Yep.
Picard
I don't
talked to
know.
Kirk.
Yeah,
I
not
feel
gonna
like
lie,
you were
man.
with me there.
Certain things kind of blotted out from my memory. Don't know what it could possibly be that makes it happen, but
But it's weird because like his irises look like a computer chip, so it's kind of weird. It's just like it's like
Mm.
ocular implants or something, because I think it was actually explained, if
I
I'm
think
not
that's what they
mistaken, in
called it.
Generation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you can't wear a banana clip all the time. I mean, you know.
Right. Right.
Because you can
Well,
only
look,
look
y'all.
straight, unless you actually like you have your point of view or like it was with you, you can only look straight. It doesn't
Right.
work out very well if you turn your head.
Well, let's not really dive too far into that, because then you're going to take out every helmet you've ever seen in any show ever, and I don't want to do that. Like, trust me, I've got a few of those helmets. You can't see out of them. That's why we don't have full face masks in the military. But all right, y'all got anything else for the show? I think that we have Picarded out. I'm excited about the finale of this season. I don't know where they're going to go with it, but I want to get into more Star Trek after this. So after this Picard's over, let's definitely continue to find some Star Trek stuff to cover, because it's a really awesome universe and I'm having a good time with it.
Well, I think it's really cool the
I-
fact that even if you haven't watched a lot of it, I mean, you're still picking up things. I mean, it's, even though it's new for you,
Yeah.
you're still,
Mhm.
you know, following the story. For me, all the little like Easter eggs. Oh my God! As like I said from the very beginning, I'm just
Oh yeah,
oh
Yeah.
my God.
this show is
Love
made
it.
for a fan like
Love
you.
it.
To be truly honest with you, it's made for a fan like you, but they do a good job to make it interesting for a fan like me.
Yes.
So
So
they
it's
do a
creating
really good
fan.
job with
It's
that.
creating a new fan.
I'm a fan for
Well-
all the things that we watch. I love talking about them. I love the. I mean, this week is only Star Wars and Star Trek. I have always loved Star Trek, and I've always loved Star Wars. And I feel like that any person that feels like it's one over the other is just doesn't understand what sci-fi is about.
There's room for both.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
There's room
There's
for
room
both.
for so much more. Like
Mhm.
there is room for so much more. I love these stories. I hate that Picard is going to be what it is, but I love what I'm getting out of it. I hate that Mandalorian is what it is, but I love
Right.
what I'm getting out of it. You know, there's multiple levels that we can talk about all these things, but I am a fan of where we are at, and you know what I love? I love science fiction. I love good storytelling. I love fantasy. I wish I could have gone to see John Wick like Sarah did. I wish I could have gone to go see Shazam 2 like Sarah did, but
Hmm.
I feel like
Can't
we're
all
kind of
ball
at
like
an
that.
era to where
Understand?
yeah, like it's a very busy time right now for me. So
That's true.
Well, it's like my
I'm living
escapism. I'm not gonna
through
lie.
Sarah
It's
vicariously.
my escapism. Like I said,
Yeah.
I mean, I took the boy to see Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on Monday, because that's what I love about Alamo, because they show a lot of these older movies. We saw it advertised.
Oh,
The boy's
yeah.
like, oh, I want to see that. You
Mhm.
do? All right, let's
There you
go.
go. There you go.
You know, and I'm like, and even a movie like that was like what, back in '85. I'm like,
Mhm.
I still love it. It came out. That was my daughter's age basically when that movie came
That was
out.
the one with
And
death, right?
no, that's Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. That's
Bogus.
when you have like all
Excellent.
the
Yes. Never mind.
yes.
I got you. Yep. I'm on
Yes.
board.
Ooh, you know
Um,
what? That's a good question for y'all for next week. Give me some movies from your childhood you would love to see in theaters now. Give me like 3. You don't have to think about it right now, but just like think about it. Give me some movies from your childhood that you would kill to see in theaters right now. I can think of a couple right off the top of my head. I got to rank some actually, because if I sit down and think about it, it'll probably be 7, 8, 9. Let's do it to 3. Actually, let's not even worry about limits. Just think of some movies you want to see in theaters from your childhood.
well,
What
I mean,
am I even talking about limits in this show? Yeah.
some of my favorite movies, like and I've told you guys this before. Phantom of the Opera. That was the Gerard Butler version.
Hmm.
You know, I
Never
love
saw
that
it.
movie. I've seen it a million times. Saw it, big screen. Still the same magic. I saw Wrath of Khan, I think last year sometime. That was still the same magic.
Yeah.
Like I see, seeing Bill and Ted, same magic. I mean, it was great. That was really fun because it was kind of like a watch party. So you could actually, not really act out, but you can like say things. It's kind of like when Ted was like, "Whoa," everybody's like, "Whoa," that kind of thing.
Right.
And I'm gonna take the girl a little bit later next month to see Clueless. She's at that point now where,
Okay, yeah, I remember that movie.
yeah, as if I'm like, yeah, you've got to meet Cher Horowitz. Yeah, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's
You know, I hated loving Double Dragon. I hated loving that movie because it was so bad, but I loved it. I loved Double Dragon as a kid. I thought that the story, like with like that kind of thing, the split medallion, all that kind of crap, the video game, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Unapologetically, like completely. Like
Yeah,
I had
I get it.
nothing. I would want to say Super Mario Brothers because it's fresh in my mind, and not because like the new movie, but like it's always one of those things that kind of pops back into my mind with
I
John
love some Street
Leguizamo
Fighter.
being Street Fighter.
I
Yes,
like that,
those.
yeah.
Street Fighter would be great.
It was a bad movie, but it was a good movie for the time. Mortal Kombat, the original.
Yeah, the original was kind of crazy. If I could see the Never-Ending Story in 3D, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Speaking of Never Ending Story, yes, that's the one movie that gives you like childhood trauma from the get go.
Yeah,
maybe
Atreyu
I'll give you that.
with his horse.
Yeah, I get that. Boy,
I can't think of
girls right now.
I can't think of Bindu any other way than in Neverending Story.
Oh.
Like that is my Bindu.
You see that? You see what my Almo's playing? First Contact.
What is that?
Oh, nice.
Oh shit.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Oh, I do remember one point I wanted to bring up that I thought this was very funny, and Oscars a couple weeks ago. Everything Everywhere All at Once won a lot of awards, rightfully so. It's a good movie. I understand. Now, granted, I don't think it was better than Top Gun, but apparently it won a lot more awards than Top Gun. So,
Brian took the girl to go see that.
How about the different? I think people get wrapped up with the difference between what certain people think is better and popular. And it really comes down to what a certain group of people think is better, not so much what is the most popular thing. Because I know everybody saw Top Gun. I don't know a ton of people that saw Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now, I'm not taking away from that. It's a great movie. But I did want to bring up the guy who is Short Round. Won the award. Did y'all see his speech by chance?
Oh, yeah.
No, I missed that one.
Yeah.
Did a really great job. But how about this?
Who gave the award?
Harris? That's what I was going to say. Harrison Ford, who's never won an Oscar. Indiana Jones, who's never won an Oscar, gives
Indiana Jones gave Short Round
the Oscar. That was saying. But Harrison Ford's never won one. Is what's so funny. That's why. So who would have expected Short Round to win an Oscar before Indiana Jones? And not only that, for Indiana Jones to present it to Short Round.
Have you seen the pictures of the two of them who were like years ago versus like where they are now?
No.
I mean, it's Harrison Ford is an enigma. Like he is. He didn't grow up as a seasonally trained actor. He was a builder. He was a set designer. He was a carpenter. He was
a janitor.
Jesus in his own right, huh?
He was a janitor, wasn't he?
He did all sorts of odd jobs.
Maybe I'm wrong about like the story with Stars. Yeah, I don't know if the story with Star Wars was like he was a janitor and they had like
he was a carpenter.
Carpenter. Okay, they like 5 positions for every role, and they only had 4 for Han Solo, and they asked him to fill in for his last one because he was just there, and he ended up getting the role.
Yeah,
I don't know
one of his main competitors was Kurt Russell.
Okay, which that would change things up. Holy crap!
Yeah, but if you've ever seen that set read, you're like, I can't see that. I could almost see that as Han Solo, but I can't see that as Han Solo.
I mean, so when I think it would be just, I would look different on Han Solo,
Yeah,
I'd feel different about it. Yeah, sorry.
You would feel Snake Plissken is what you would feel like, because I mean that's kind of what he brought to the whole role, and so it was that, and then you had him move on after Star Wars to do Indiana Jones, to do all of these other countless roles that he actually had. But I mean, man, for him to turn around and to give an award like an Oscar to Short Round, like you would just have to be happy, and I think he was.
Oh yeah.
He was generally happy, because you can tell when he's generally disgusted on his face, and it seemed like
Oh yeah, he don't hold back.
No. He does not have resting bitch face. He just has bitch face and like non-bitch face. So
yeah. I just wanted to bring that up. I thought that was pretty cool. A little cool moment in history. But
and that movie had plenty of its own stupid moments in it, but it was a good movie.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Well, like I said, Brian took Claire to see it last Saturday, I think. And she came back. She's like, "Whoa, there's some craziness going on."
It's a crazy movie.
Truly appreciate it.
Look, I'll probably never turn it on again unless I'm reviewing it or something like that. But I'm not unhappy that I'm glad I saw it. It was a good movie, but it's not something that I'm telling everybody you have to go see this, because I know it takes a certain kind of person to like this movie. Now, it was a good movie, but certain people are just going to look at this right from the first 20 minutes and be like, "No, this is not me," and I get that. So,
I think that's it.
That's it.
That's it. Y'all got anything else? I'm trying to think of anything else on the slate here. My notebook paper is clean. I've turned a page and there's nothing there. So, all right. Well, let's get out of here then. Sarah, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at MyLadyKitten. I'm kind of bouncing around there a little bit. I did tweet how much I did love, or how much I'm loving Picard season 3. So yes, it's like just share a little love, because anything. This is. I know it's the last season. I know it's going to be the end of it, but I'm just going to hold on to it as long as I can.
Right, and it'll always be there.
Yes,
that's the thing. It'll always be there.
But it's super fantastic. And then, like I said, even if you're not a huge Star Trek fan or not, but being a Star Trek fan, I'm loving it. And then hearing people, they're not Star Trek fans, loving it. It's great. I'm just glad it's getting the love it deserves, because it is fantastic. It's fantastic.
I concur. Ross, where can they find you?
You can find me right here next week watching 2 episodes of Bad Batch, because it is the finale in 1 week. 2 episodes in 1 week. That's 2 into 1. As the Spice Girls used to say, you get 2 episodes in 1 week. And then you get the Mandalorian, and then you get episode 7 of Picard. And if you're into anything else, bring it up and I'll watch it. I'm still trying to watch From. I know we had someone on here trying to push that. I'm still on that game. I'm going to get it watched. From will be watched. I still have yet to watch Ted Lasso. I think next week's going to be 3 episodes. I'm going to come full Ted Lasso next week.
So you're not too far behind.
I'm bringing it all. No.
A couple hours on a Sunday morning before you get up and do anything.
I'm letting it build up.
There you go.
I'm letting Ted Lasso build up because it is a good show. And man, do I just want to let the fun reign on everyone's parade.
I was just editing Ted Lasso viewing.
Yes.
It's
going to be heavy.
Yeah.
Agent Elvis, I'm going to watch that. I'm going to get that down for everybody. And I'm going to start Yellow Jackets again for it. No one else has watched it, because Yellow Jackets is phenomenal too.
Is it on Apple TV?
Yellow Jackets is on Showtime. Okay.
I will maybe check that out. I think I have Showtime with my Prime subscription, so I'll look at it. But you can.
Wait, what is today's date? 23rd?
24th.
I watched Murder Mystery also, so I'll watch the second one when it comes out. I think it comes out at the end of the month. And then I think I think I may actually go to the theater to see Dungeons and Dragons at the end of the month.
I think
I may try to nail that one down.
Doesn't it come out week after next?
The 31st. When's the 31st?
That's next week. Today's the 24th, so 7 days from now is.
We'll probably see it. Yeah, we're gonna take a little vacay the week of the 3rd, so we'll probably try to maybe sneak off and see that.
I hear you.
I told the boy, I
may-
said, you need to see the first Dungeons and Dragons movie. He tried to, I
Yeah.
tried to play it for him one time. He
Yeah.
was like, Mom, I'm not trying to do this right
Hey,
now.
maybe we'll
I
cover
said,
the
That's
first
"Okay."
Dungeons and Dragons
is
movie.
tough for you.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
remember
we'll all
seeing that
watch
one
it,
at the
cover it.
theater.
Yeah, I'll watch it,
Mhm.
cover it, and then we'll all go see the second one in theaters. We'll see. That'd be fun.
Is the first one on anything? Just
I'm sure you can find it
Sure.
somewhere.
I think it
Yeah.
was.
I'm sure.
I found it somewhere.
Yeah, somebody's got it.
Well,
Uh,
you
all
relay
right.
that information. We'll figure it out.
Yes, sir. You
I
can
knew
find
it
me
was
at the
from
Bat Daddy 52 on Twitter is my personal handle. Check out at GCS Podcast 1 the show handle. We're here live every Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, talking about all these great shows and movies and books and all that other good stuff that we like to talk about. And there's always a few squirrels in there. So we will be back next week, unless anything else comes up between now and then, but I don't believe there is. So I guess all I can really say between now and then is